Well, Chris,
I think. Well, listen, Mark. Listen, hold on. When I say, would you have caffeine today?
What the hell was that up to you then?
How much coffee did you drink before the show?
Listen, you can't polish a sneaker, right? throw tomatoes at me, do whatever you're gonna do.
It's Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. I'm real excited tonight, and you're going to be happy with tonight's show. If you like us reaming out some people in our industry, then you're really going to like this show tonight. And the guy that's really going to do the reaming is joining me as always. Mark Catone, welcome in. Joe Guarnieri's going to chime in, and he's got us up on YouTube live. The live chat's open, so chat in. You're going to want to do that because you want to give your opinion on some of the things we're going to talk about tonight. Also, feel free to give us a call, 855-313-PATS, 855-313-7287. Chat, call, subscribe. Make sure you hit, what's that, Mark? That thumbs up thing on the screen. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Joe, you can let them know how to do that up on the chat. And Mark, listen. We're going to get to the reaming in a little bit, but I want to talk about the Celtics right now and the Bruins. And the reason why I want to talk about those two together is because I feel like they're very much the same kind of team, each of them. You know, mediocre, average, right? You know, hovering around that 8 spot in the in their respective conferences. And so, Mark, we'll start with the Celtics. I mean, is this just simply an average team, or is there just more to this?
No, they're an average team. I mean, you are right. They are what they are. I mean, team has a lot of flaws, Chris. I think it starts, with the general manager. It's the coach. It's the players. It's the construction of the roster. Like, there's a lot of things contributing to the fact that they're a 500 team. It's not one thing, right? And, you know. Yeah,
listen, I mean, right now they're 8th in the East, okay, as of last night, I believe. They're 8th in the. I mean, you have to understand. We're coming on once a week, so we got a lot of stuff to just pack in here. So they're, as of last night, I believe they're 8th in the East. But the more glaring is they're 17th in the entire league. You know, so that puts them pretty much in the middle. Yeah. You know, pretty much in the middle, an average team. And to me, Mark, why? When I look at why is that? Because they have talent. I mean, they brought guys in like Tom. You know, Kemba, Thompson, you know, Brown, Tatum.
They have overrated talent.
Well, guy, explain to the people what your thought is on that.
I'm so sick of hearing, well, they got 2 stars on their team. You know, they should be doing better. Listen, yeah, they were all stars. I understand it. But listen, if you're going to win a championship in this league, Chris, you have to have a player that minimum, if you look back at the last 8, 9, 10 championship teams in this league, they've all had at least 1, 2 guys, maybe 3, who are top 10 players in this league, top 5 players in this league. I will argue that Brown and Tatum, neither one of them are a top 10 player in this league. All right? Listen, tell me if they're better than any one of these guys I'm going to name. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic, Jokic from Denver, Kawhi, Donovan Mitchell, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, Harden, Durant, Giannis, even Zion, a second-year player, is better than those two. His shooting percentage is off the charts. It's like almost he's going to set a record. They're not even in the top. Those were 14 guys off the top of my head, Chris. They're not better than either one of those. Any of those 14 guys.
There's a couple of guys on that list that I would argue about. You know, okay, go through the list again. We'll say yes or no to each one.
LeBron.
Oh, yeah, okay, no, they're not as good.
Anthony Davis.
No.
Steph Curry. Oh my God, Chris.
Well, hold on. Listen. Here's why I'm not Tatum right now.
He's the greatest 3-point shooter in the history.
Yeah, I understand. He's the greatest 3-point shooter, and I get that, and I understand that. Okay, I understand that. But Steph Curry,
get him off. Joe, get him off.
You know what?
Joe.
Wait, did he just say he's the greatest and took away from Larry Bird? Come on.
Yes, I did. Joe,
listen, I
get him off the air. He's contemplating.
Oh, shut up, Mark. You know what? Let me make my point. Will you please? Oh, by the way, you know, CA back. I call him the backs man. He's in as always. Let's go. He says the real deal New England feel. Welcome in. We love it. Listen, Mark, be quiet for 2 seconds. Will you please? let me explain before you tell the people what a moron I am.
Oh my God.
I understand, okay, Steph Curry. He's the greatest three-point shooter to ever live, although Reggie Miller will probably turn over thinking, hearing that. But still, I get that part. But when you look at Steph Curry today, you look at Tatum today. I think Tatum's all-around game, okay, his all-around game, defensively, okay.
Defensively, him and Brown haven't played defense all year. That's probably
okay. No,
why they stink.
I know, but what I'm saying is I think that you could put him there.
Nah, no
in
way.
certain aspects. All right,
Chris,
go down
Chris, there's not an expert in the league that would agree with you with that.
Go down the experts. The experts. Where do we get to the goddamn experts? Go ahead. Tell me.
Damian Lillard.
So you think that Lillard right now is better than
right now, positively. There's not.
All right, go ahead. Who's next?
He might be one of the top 5 or 6 in the league right now, Chris.
All right, go ahead.
Doncic from Dallas. Luka Doncic.
I put Tatum with him. I put Tatum with him.
I'm not even going to go through the rest of this list, Chris, because I'm
Mitchell. You talking about Mitchell? So you think Mitchell's better than Tatum?
Chris,
too?
You think he's better than you? Think
I didn't say he's better. I said he's right there. I said he's right there.
Okay,
what is he average? What's Tatum averaging a game?
Chris, have you ever sat and watched an entire Dallas game and watched what that kid can do?
Yes,
in comparison to Tatum?
Yes, I have.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Chris,
all right. So
Chris,
fine.
Chris,
listen. Listen, Mark.
I'll
give you this 10 guys. I'll give you this 10 guys in this league.
10. There's more than 10, but I'll stay with 10.
That are probably better right now than Tatum and Brown. Now, I also will say this to you. Okay. Where do you? Because you could say that. Fine. Okay. Fine. These guys are all better than Tatum and Brown right now.
Yep.
Great. What the hell does that actually mean? What does it mean? It means
what it means is I'm sick of listening to these, like you said, so-called experts tell us that you got 2 superstars on this team. No, you don't. I consider a superstar someone who's in the top 10 in the league. They've regressed. I don't care if they get 27 points a game. Their leadership skills are poor. They don't have that killer instinct.
Absolutely.
They don't play defense. What I watch out there nightly from those 2 is disgusting.
Listen, I agree with you right now. Okay, right now I understand what's happening and I get it. But if you're so what is the suggestion being made by you? Is it that these guys are not top 10 guys, so let's move on from both of them? No, listen. I mean the age of this team.
Chris, you're gonna have to, in order to do something with this team, they're gonna have to shake up this roster. He's obsessed with Stevens. Ainge is obsessed with Stevens, and he's obsessed with Brown.
All right. Well, wait a minute, though. That's a different issue. Let's get
No. I'm getting at why this team's the way it is. He's unwilling to move on from that, right? So, in the case of Brown and Tatum, I think Tatum has more upside than Brown, and I think he has the potential to be one of those top 10 guys. I think Brown is not in the same class, I would say, as Tatum. So, trade Brown and maybe a couple of picks, another player, throw somebody else in with him. Go get a guy like Beal. And then maybe Beal and Tatum can convince a third guy to come in here. And now you put yourself in the conversation of, well, maybe we can compete for a championship.
Well, here's my thought. Right? Okay.
That's my thought.
Joe, is Mark going to let me, what do you think today? You think today, I'll leave it to you people. What's the over under on whether or not Mark lets me get a sentence out today? Mark, listen. I agree with you with what's happening right now. Those 2 guys are just not getting it done. They're not getting it done from a leadership standpoint. I wholeheartedly agree with that. They quit in games. The way Tatum starts games is putrid. He starts a game sloppy. He starts a game, just not full. And then he picks it up. And I feel like the whole team goes that way from the beginning of a game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So, okay. The upside though of Tatum, I think like better than the upside of Brown. Yes.
Yes.
So I agree. I agree with Mark. I agree with you 100% in they got to do something here. And Brown would be the guy to do it with. And I also agree 100% with you when you go get a guy like Beal, because that kind of guy bringing in. And what does it say though about Tatum that bringing a guy like that will invigorate him, will rejuvenate him? Does it say a lot about Tatum then, about his ability to become that guy? Then if he needs that to happen, but okay, let's say he does. So Beal comes in here. I agree with you. Is it beyond the stretch and realm of possibility that those 2 guys, now hear me out now before you people attack me. Okay. Is it beyond the realm of possibility that having those 2 guys would equal when his show is done over there in LA, bringing a guy like LeBron in, who now is part owner of the Fenway Group that of the Red Sox now, to maybe try to promote his brand and promote his asset in Boston? Would that be a possibility?
Today was the first time that was brought up. It was brought up by you. And then as I thought about it, Chris, I don't see why that wouldn't be a possibility. I think you'd need to bring in somebody, like you said, like a Beal, where LeBron could say, okay, we got 3 distinct styles of play, me, Tatum, and Beal. He may be enticed to do that to build his brand in Boston because, like you said, he's part owner now of this Fenway Group, right? It could be. Because let's face it, Chris, too, if you look at Brown and Tatum, some of what they do and their strengths are similar, right? Bringing in a guy like Beal would be a good compliment to Tatum because what they do is different, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. Listen, you're right. It is too close. I mean, you know, it's different when you have like a Kyrie, guy like that supposedly can facilitate and do all the things from the point guard position, in, out, all of that, get to the rim, facilitate, how much his defense is, but those kinds of things. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think Brown would be the piece that you have to move in order to get this done. Now, the question I have is, what do you think it would take? Because I mean, the trade deadline's coming up. What? It's Thursday, I think.
I don't think it'll happen by the trade deadline. I think that's something, Chris. That deal for Brown is maybe an off-season deal. You give up Brown a couple of first-round picks, maybe or at least one. I think you could swing a deal for Beal maybe in the offseason. You're not going to swing it now. Well,
I agree. I agree with that. I think you're going to have to, at some point, you're going to have to move. If you want to win a championship, and that's brings to the next thing too. I mean, right now they're talking about the possible deal that can happen is Orlando with Gordon, I believe.
They're saying they're going to have to give up
Smart, maybe two first-round picks, which – who cares?
I don't know if I'd waste the first round picks on Gordon if you have it. That's my thing, Chris. I don't know if this.
Well, I wouldn't, but that's what they're saying. The cost is.
I don't think I would do that. I would save that capital to go after a guy like Beal, a bigger piece. Gordon's not that type of a piece.
No, I don't think I'd do it either. But I think that's what the talk is, that may be what's necessary to get that done. I don't know, but I don't think they're going to make a blockbuster deal because, again, I think the season's written off at this point, which brings me to the Stevens issue with all of this. Now, last week there was a lot of talk about him. The Indiana spots opened up. Does he want to go there? That's where he's from. All of that. His name's being thrown around. And on several occasions, he's come out and basically said, no. I'm not going anywhere. In fact, he has a press conference that says, I'm a masshole. I drive like crap. I like seafood or something. He said, I like rooting for the Pats and all that crap. So he basically said, no, this is where I'm going to be. And that's fine. But Mark, the bigger problem with all this is he goes and has a meeting with the team. And this may be the biggest point of everything to do with this team right now. He goes and meets with the team and basically tells them, I'm staying put. Now, normally when something like that happens and you got your coach that's being rumored in different places to go different places, they come in, the coach comes in, puts the team's mind at ease, and then everybody goes out there and plays well. Well, they go out against Sacramento and they lay an egg and they lose the game and they look real flat doing it, didn't they? What does that mean? What's that mean to you? He's lost the team.
Listen, Chris, in this, right? Coaches, the guy from San Antonio is an anomaly, right? That doesn't happen, right? Even Popovich, right? The guy in Golden State, right? Kerr, he's been there a while, right? But for the most part, coaches stay with these teams, Chris. The nature of this league now is, 5-6 years, the players get sick of you. That's the end of you. You're gone. You're done, right? And you move on. I mean, what did Rivers last in LA? 4 years, maybe 5? I don't remember. 6? Maybe it was more than that. I don't know, right? Yeah. But they moved on from Rivers, right? These guys just don't last on these teams. Stevens has been here how many years now? 7? 8? 8. So he's getting to that point now where these guys are probably okay. It's time for, they've had enough of him now. So maybe you have to make a coaching move. I'm not saying he's not a good X's and O's guy. I think he knows X's and O's, but that's not what this league is about, X's and O's, right? That's not what this league's about.
No, it's not like the NFL.
You want to do that, go to college, which is where I think he'll end up again.
Yeah, it's not like the NFL where, the schemes matter, everything matters like that. You're right. I mean, you're going on a decade now over here, and because you're right. He's always had that feeling, and I like Brad Stevens. I think he's a smart basketball guy. But he's always had that college basketball kind of feel where he took teams to the Eastern Conference Finals that were like no real huge names. Okay,
they were like college guys. He was coaching.
Right.
He was coaching them up.
Absolutely, the scheme mattered. They moved the ball. They spacing on the floor was good. The defense got back on defense. Their press was everything was sort of like that college feel, and it came together. And so now these guys are becoming superstars, and like the superstars in this league, they're tuning them out. So to me, I think it's a definite message to everyone that they would come out after him giving that kind of a statement to them and lay an egg like that and not perform for their coach. What that tells me is that he's lost that locker room, perhaps, and they just don't believe in him the way they maybe once did, or if ever. But Ainge is so damn stubborn. Okay, when it comes to this guy, to me, I feel like if he doesn't move on from this guy, and Mark, the bottom line is I'd rather have a superstar player in the NBA than a coach. You're always going to get you're always going to have the player for the coach. Now, traditionally, do I like that whole idea? No, that's not me. That's not how I'm built. But that's the way the league is. These players run this league, and that's it. They decide who comes and who goes. Yeah. LeBron James is running that whole ship over there. I mean, now I'm saying LeBron's up here and there's some other guys in that next tier. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's never gonna be any better if it just keeps going like this. And I don't know if Ainge, Ainge is becoming part of the problem too right now by not making these moves, by not doing anything. And maybe he's being so damn stubborn because, he maneuvered these picks and he maneuvered this Brooklyn thing and he did everything he did because to have Brown, Tatum, and now to move on from one of these guys. Is that basically saying, I kind of made a mistake here, or I kind of screwed up?
Yeah.
It would be, wouldn't it? So
yeah,
I don't know if they're going to do anything at the deadline, but all I know is this is not the year for them. I mean, you've been saying it for how long? Nobody's going to get through Brooklyn.
So, Chris, so if this isn't the year for them, do you even waste any capital trying to bring in a player? Just ride it out with this group and make a bunch of moves during the offseason. Maybe you're going to have to use that trade exemption or you're going to lose it. So you're going to have to do something with that over the summer. And maybe you try to pull a bigger deal, like a blockbuster deal over the summer. But why are you wasting your time now? You're not even if you brought in Aaron Gordon, you're not getting by Brooklyn. So if Brooklyn is healthy, you're not getting by Brooklyn. So why are you wasting your time?
Unless you can hold on to these guys. Unless you can hold on to a guy.
If you hold
some years.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you so say you make the deal for Gordon and you give up Smart. And like you say, Chris, maybe maybe it says you're going to give up a first or one or two first round draft picks. Okay. So now the summer comes. Now you're using your trade exemption. I'm assuming at least half of it, or maybe more than that, on Gordon. Who else do you bring in? Is that team constructed with Gordon and Tatum and Brown a championship team? I don't think they are. So why? That's why I'm saying, why blow the pick now? Why blow that trade and blow your trade exemption now when you're not going to develop a championship team? You need to save that for some over the summer. You got to really pull something big off and shake this team up and take a chance, because bringing in Aaron Gordon isn't going to do anything, Chris.
No, it won't do anything for now. I don't know if it'll allow them to get a third guy. I think your first scenario was the best one, which is wait till the offseason, make a move for a guy like Beal, who Washington that's a dead franchise right now. So make a move for a guy like Beal, and then you can add that third piece. Because look, they're young enough.
Sure.
What do we figure out? Beal was what, 24?
No, he was about 27, but they're young enough. He's got a bunch of years left.
Right. They're young enough where they can add that third piece.
Yeah.
So again, they're right now they're a mediocre team and then another mediocre team, and we got to get the break. But Mark, we don't have to spend too much time on the Bruins. But look, it's the same story. I mean, we've been talking about them for weeks now, and it's the same situation with these guys, and which is if the first line is not scoring, they're not winning. I mean, it's that simple. And Cassidy just doesn't seem to be mixing it up, does he?
No. And we talked about this, Chris. If in the playoffs, you can't win with just the first line, because in the playoffs, typically they'll take away your first line, and it's the other lines those are the teams that advance deep into the playoffs, and they haven't been able to establish that. So what are they going to do in the playoffs? Maybe you'll get by a round or two if you get a couple of easy draws, but as soon as you play a bona fide team in the playoffs, they're going to go home.
Yeah, listen, and again, when you go down the lineup and you see, okay, yeah, great, Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak, one of the best, if not the best in the league, right? Now you come down to Krejci, Ritchie, DeBrusk, Cole, Coyle, Smith, Frederick's who I love, Bjork, Wagner. These are some of the guys they trickle in. But if these are their other guys, and we know what DeBrusk's issue is, he's not getting it done. Krejci's fine, but who's on the other side of him? Ritchie, DeBrusk. You could put Frederick there. You could put Smith there. Then you got Coyle on. It just doesn't. There's just not enough, and they're not going to do anything to improve it this year. So I agree with you, Mark. I mean, one round. I'd even give them 1 round in their route. So yeah. Again, I mean, hey, listen, I'd love to spend a ton of time on the Bruins right now, but the bottom line is they started great like always. And Mark, I'll give you props on that. Mark said it from the beginning. He said it from the beginning. He said, look, this team teases you at the beginning. They run out of the gates. They're great. And then all of a sudden they start to trickle down. Only now it's happening at much sooner than normal.
Yeah, I didn't think it would happen this quickly. You're right, Chris. It's happening sooner than normal.
So, and listen, we got a little debate. We got a little debate going on the chat tonight. You got Bax claiming himself as the number 1 fan, and then you got, I don't know who this is. Please call in or chat in. Tell me who you are. It's just a letter. Joe, who is this with the letter I, saying I love Corso and Catone? No, I am the number 1 fan. So I'm not sure who that is over there with the I, but let us know. Let us know who you are, and fight it out. Mark will make that decision later on. Listen, when we come back, okay, we're going to get into. Free agency is huge right now in the NFL. It's what's happening. And there was so many moves, so many things done last week. We need to organize it. We need to figure out what the Patriots are doing, what they should be doing. And there's some people that we're going to come down on, okay? Coming up in the show right after this, more Corso and Catone.
Welcome back to the Special Sauce Podcast. I have a very special guest here, Brittany Droz. Brittany, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about all things culture, psychology, and business excellence.
My audience is going to love that. So tune in, folks, specialsaucepodcast.com.
Welcome back. Joe, hey, how'd that show go with Brittany anyway, that Special Sauce podcast? So has that not come up yet? Looks interesting.
That's out there online, specialsaucepodcast.com. You can check that out. She's a business coach. So really well, actually.
Mark,
good episode.
Don't you need that? Were you telling me today? That kind of coaching?
I need more than that. Jesus.
She actually is a psychologist and a business coach. So
okay, well, maybe I'm going to watch
yes, she actually does come with a psychology degree. So
then next week, what's her name? Brittany what? Rhodes?
Droz.
That next week, we're going to be joined by Brittany Droz.
Droz
is going to put
D like closed.
What?
Droz like closed.
All right.
Droz.
Okay. You know what? Her name's being mentioned 80 times. She loves it anyway. So Brittany's good. We should get Brittany on the show next week. Put Mark down on the couch.
She'll lock me up. She'll lock me up.
Mark, her head will explode. She won't be able to. She won't be able to figure you out, man. You know. So anyway, listen. Free agency started last week, right? And Mark and I, we want to go through these because as it relates to the Patriots, but there's been a lot of stuff done, and the grades for some of these teams have been, pretty much all over the place with these so-called experts as to what's happened. But Mark, listen, when I look at this you know, when I look at the landscape of the league right now and what's been done, okay, to you anyway, I mean, I want to look at the moves that we think are good, you know, good stellar moves and improved teams, and things that just aren't that great, Mark. So, I mean, what's your take on what you've seen just generally over the last week?
I think obviously the teams, Chris, that had money, some of them some of them spent more than others, but they spent. And I think this free agency period was driven by obviously the reduction in the cap. And I think you said it, Chris, you're starting to slowly see now the releases trickle in, right? Every day there's a guy that's getting released, right? Like today, Pittsburgh released their number 2 corner, right? So it's saving them $7.5 million because they just signed Schmidt-Schuster, right, to a year. So right. I think every week, and as you get closer and closer to June 1st, Chris, you're going to continue to see all these releases. So free agency, I think, was a little bit different this year. I think you had some high-end guys sign, but if you look at the middle of the pack of free agency, which is your bread and butter, where a lot of teams build their rosters, there's still a lot of quality guys out there because there just isn't the cap space to sign that second and third tier free agent. But that's how you build championship teams, is with those guys too.
Yeah, and through the draft, but some of the bigger moves, you know, I mean, we can't go through every single one, you know. We're not like these guys that have 4 hours over there that they're talking about.
Well, we wish we had 4 hours. I mean? We don't, you know.
But some of the bigger moves, I mean, obviously, I mean, we'll get to New England because they were probably the busiest. But you know, the Bucks, okay, you know, and talk about
they kept their own guys.
Yeah, I mean, Godwin, Levante David,
Barrett,
Shaq Barrett, you know,
they kept them all, yeah. Gronk. And, you know, and they signed their kicker to a 3-year, $12 million deal. Okay. That's and supposedly they're still talking to Fournette and Antonio Brown.
As well as Sue.
Yep.
Who they talked about. They talked about the Patriot. They asked him about the Patriot way. Did you hear this, man? They asked him about the Patriot way. And he said, what do I care about the Patriot way? I'm never going to play there. I'm never going to go in there. I want to stay in Tampa. I mean, these guys all think they're going to win 2-3 in a row.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, Tampa made some moves. I mean, the Tampa spent money, you know,
they absolutely
spent money. And that matters in a second. The Jets, Mark, a lot of people are considering what the Jets did pretty good. Some big moves that
they spent some money. They did. They spent some money. They brought in one of the top edge rushers in free agency.
Lawson.
They brought in one of the top wide receivers, I guess. He was considered to be one of the top 5 guys available, right?
Yeah, well,
on most free agent boards for wide receivers, right?
Yeah, that's who Mark's talking about. Carl Lawson,
Corey Davis
comes in at $45 million on a 3-year deal. Corey Davis comes in, you know, that, and then now they'll have Mims, Crowder,
they franchise
Davis.
tagged one of their safeties, right?
They did, yep. And so
they spent money.
They spent money. They did things there, and then you got. I think a big move to me.
Chris,
move. It's not heralded.
Didn't the Jets also bring in the guy that I liked was the slot receiver from Jacksonville?
I don't. You know what, Mark, Joe, you got to look that up. That I didn't see that. I wasn't focused enough on the Jets. I hate the Jets. But it's just, there was a couple of moves they made that I think were important. One of the moves, Mark, that I thought was made in the league, that didn't get a lot of publicity, but Aaron Jones staying in Green Bay, that's a big move for them, keeping that running back there, you know. But it's a,
you know what though, Chris, I
don't like it, but
I didn't agree with it. You know why? Because they have the other running back from Boston College that they drafted last year who had a real good year. I didn't think they needed Aaron Jones. They should have tried to get one of those receivers for Rodgers to put with Devontae Adams.
I think so too. Well, look, you know how I feel about running backs.
No,
you know, you don't pay running backs. You just don't. How's Elliott doing down in Dallas? What they want?
Yeah, you don't pay that kind of money.
How about Murray, DeMarco Murray, when they paid him? How'd they do there?
No.
You know, Henry, how they going to do over there paying him?
Yeah.
I mean, you can go down the list of running backs that got paid, and just historically, and you can go back 20 years, and you can just keep talking about, you know, maybe we'll do that one of these shows. You can go back 20 years and you can look at running backs that were paid that didn't amount to crap.
Because what's the life expectancy? What's the peak life expectancy of a running back? Because of the pounding they take, 4 or 5 years, and they start to slip.
That's it. You know, but like I said, as I've said during Pat's Nation, I've said it on this show, you can get a running back. Mark, to put it this way, how many running backs have you seen that you've never heard of, and all of a sudden they're in the top 5 in rushing? Yeah. You never heard of them
every year. There's almost one every year, I think.
Every single year.
Almost.
At least one. At least. That happened then at Allen in Baltimore. It happened to the guy up in Seattle. You didn't hear anything. Lindsey, another guy that all of a sudden was on. And as fast as they come up, they go down. Yep, and that's why I would never pay one. But it's a big move for them. Washington they're really excited over there about Fitzpatrick coming to town.
Yeah, I guess.
Really, really.
Well,
excited.
they just, they got some good. They got some
Samuel.
Chris, they got some good. They got a good tight end. They got some good receivers there. They got an excellent defense. They are excited.
That defense, that defense is for real in Washington.
Oh yeah, they don't get the credit they deserve, Chris. That's one of the better defenses in the league.
Yeah, and so again, like I said, there are some bigger moves made. Saints retaining Winston, which tells you that, and again, listen, Mark, I was high on Winston. I looked at that guy.
And they signed him to a good contract, Chris. They didn't give a ton of money, the base salary and stuff. It was a decent contract. It was a good contract for New Orleans to give him a year contract and see what he does.
Yeah, that was a team-friendly deal,
Was.
And then, but the teams that didn't, I mean, Houston right now, and that's a good segue into Watson. But I mean, Houston teams like the Bears, by the way, too. Seahawks, Bears, they didn't do much. There were moves that should have been made. They didn't do. But
the Seahawks, Chris, were trying to bring in not the Seahawks. The Bears were trying to bring in desperately, allegedly, a second receiver to put with Robinson, but then they didn't get any of them.
They also tried to get Wilson, Wilson out of Seattle, and that didn't work out either. No. So, but moving over to Houston right now, as it relates to the Patriots, and there's a reason why I want to talk about Houston. I mean, they're a mess. They're a mess right now, that team. And I get it. Caserio is going to. They need to get who they need to get rid of is Easterby. They need to get rid of that guy. That guy made a mess of that place when he came down there from New England. But
they did.
Caserio's day is trying to fix things, but now they have they have tremendous egg on their face right now. Do they not, Mark?
No, they absolutely do.
2 weeks.
Well, Chris, Watson's got 13 cases against them.
And it just keeps going up.
Every day it's more.
Yeah. Listen, 3 weeks ago, this is a team that could have traded this guy to Miami.
For like probably for Tua and probably like 3 picks, 4 picks, first round picks.
And I'm telling 3 first round picks at least. Okay, yeah. They would have gotten for this guy. I mean, look at what they, they would have got a young quarterback. They probably would have sent Tua in the deal. Look at the deal that LA made for Stafford. They gave up 2 first round picks?
Yeah.
And then a second or something like that, or a third.
Something like that.
So that means Watson would be worth at least 3 2 weeks ago. What's he worth now, Mark?
I don't know.
If you had a guess. I mean, what's he worth now?
Oh, his value is definitely going down. That's for sure.
No question. And so now the question becomes this with Watson. And this is why I brought it up. I brought it up. And then I want to talk about, though, let's shelve Watson for 1 second. Okay. Because nobody, you're not going to, I don't know if anybody's going to like my take on Watson. So let's talk about that in a second. But Mark, free agents that are still available. Okay. And I still think there's going to be a ton more cuts.
Well, let's look at this, Chris. Let's talk about it. And so are we going to get into the Patriots at this point?
We're going to get into the Patriots, but just going down, just about 4 or 5 of them. Okay. To me, that I feel like are good free agents left. Okay. So, you're looking at, there's an offensive tackle out there. Okay. Who's 32 years old, Schwartz. Okay. Second team all pro for 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah.
Okay. He's available. The Chiefs released him, okay, because of some retirement. But if he's out there, that's a veteran guy that can come on and solidify your offensive line. There's that guy. Justin Houston, another age guy though. Okay.
He's age, yeah.
He's age, but he's still there.
And you don't know how much these guys think in their heads that they're worth either.
Well, that may be why they're still sitting there.
Houston's never been a guy, Chris, that takes reduced money. Like he always thinks he's at the top of the market, right? Which I don't think at his age he is anymore.
And above these guys is Clowney. Clowney's out there. He's
Clowney's
28.
another. Clowney, Chris, will sign a contract a week before training camp somewhere.
Right. There's another. He's a little younger. He's 28. He can give you something.
Yeah, he'll give you something.
T.Y. Hilton, looking at the receivers. He's available still. Nobody's locking him up.
No.
Will he be sitting there in June when the releases come?
Could be.
Maybe. It depends. Seeing you got an edge guy in Dunlap. He's 32 years old, though. Okay.
These are guys, Chris, that I have a funny feeling if they're not taken within the next week or so or two at most, teams are now going to wait until the draft and see if they get these positions in the draft. And then after the draft, you may see these guys stroll in somewhere come June 1st, right? Like for training camps. But
absolutely.
Right.
Now there's some other, Dory Jackson, the corner.
He signed today.
Did he sign? Okay.
So I missed that today. He signed with the Giants.
Okay. Melvin Ingram.
They gave him a lot of money.
Now, Melvin Ingram is a guy that I've always liked.
Yeah,
I've always liked this
too.
guy. Now, he missed 12 games. He's missed 12 games since 2019. But every time he's on the field, he makes something happen.
Maybe Hunter Henry can recruit him.
Well, again, these are guys that I don't think are going to cost a ton of money to bring in, but they're guys that can complement what you have going on now.
Absolutely.
So again, KJ Wright, another guy that I've always liked. Again, 32 years old, so he's a little long in the tooth. But hey, Mark, guess who's still available right now?
Who?
Guess what corner is still available right now?
Richard Sherman.
He is. But no.
Malcolm Butler.
Malcolm Butler.
I don't think he's coming back, Chris.
No, I don't want him. Mark, when he went to Tennessee, okay, what did I tell you when he
said that was the worst
in the running back?
You said that's the worst free agency signing for the money they gave him you've ever seen. Lo and behold, 2 years later he's on the street.
Gone.
And nobody wants him.
No, he is what he is. He made a fantastic play in a game.
He did.
And that's pretty much it for that guy. We knew that would be the case.
They had the opportunity to give him the money or bring in a guy like Gilmore. They chose not to give him the money, and he signs Gilmore, that free agency class. So what did that tell you? Belichick looked at him and looked at Gilmore and said, you know what? Gilmore's a better player.
And the same thing with the running back.
What was his name? Yeah.
Joe.
And Deion Lewis.
Deion Lewis.
And he wanted to run his mouth about us after the fact.
Right. He got a ton of money too.
At least Malcolm Butler went there and shut his mouth. I do give him credit for that, Chris.
These criticisms of the Patriots about how they're too much spending. These teams out there, everybody considers Tennessee a top team, right?
Yeah.
Look at the money they blew on these guys. Okay. So the smartest thing they ever did was trade that Williams from the offensive lineman to Miami, which was the dumbest thing they ever did.
What did he last 2 days over there?
He played 3 plays all season. He's played 3 plays in his career. Okay, that moron. Mark, I like Sammy Watkins.
Yeah,
he's talking to. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just saying I like him. I think he's a guy, a compliment guy in the wide receiver room. I think he's a good guy in that room. He makes your wide receiver. He's a smart.
Talking to him. Someone's talking to him, though, Chris.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Who's he talking with?
It was an AFC team that he's in discussions with right now. But again, I don't. He's 28 years old, and again, his best days are behind him. I get that, but he's a compliment guy. So okay, Mark. So this guy's, Antonio Brown. He's going to end up back in Tampa. So there's guys that are still
the
available.
only way he don't end up back in Tampa, and I was reading an article today, Chris, is Tampa supposedly offered him another 1 year prove-it type of a deal, a little bit more than last year. They thought he would jump at it, but supposedly he's not, because Russell Wilson is still putting pressure on Seattle. He wants him in Seattle.
Yeah.
To put him with Lockett and Metcalf.
And the Ravens, by the way, the Ravens are the team that's working out Sammy Watkins.
And that would make sense there. That would make sense there, Chris.
So, and you know what'll happen? Baltimore will sign that guy, and he'll make the Pro Bowl next year.
Yeah.
Not with Jackson.
Not with Jackson. Chris, listen, you know who else isn't on the free agency list because he's not a free agent? He was released. And I think he would be a good complement to what we have in this house right now, just because of his skill set, is Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah. He's a compliment guy. Absolutely.
He's not on the free agent list because he's released. So they kind of got him in a separate list. But I think he would be a complimentary guy based on what we've already brought in here.
I think so too. And
I don't think he would cost you a lot of money at this point.
And don't forget the cuts. There's going to be a ton more releases, and there are going to be, and I've argued this last week. There are going to be guys that are released, okay, that are better, that are of a higher quality than some of the free agents that are left.
Absolutely,
that are current free agents right now. Yeah. In my opinion.
Well, you know what's going to happen, Chris. Teams are going to wait. They're going to see what unfolds in the draft, and if they get guys at positions where they can get a lot younger and cheaper, they're going to use these rookies, and they're going to release. You're right. They're going to release more veterans that are probably better than what's left in free agency.
Because don't forget, Mark, when it comes to the draft this year, no combine. Okay, no combine, so it's a lot more difficult for these teams to draft without that kind of. And Mark, by the way, on a side note, I feel like the days are numbered for the combine. Don't you feel like the pro days are gonna take over, are gonna become how they're showcased now, and not so much the combine? The combine is going to become a second tier college player, event.
I heard that, but you know what, Chris? The only reason I would say no is because the NFL has spent so much money over the last 10 years building up that combine, promoting it. It's almost like another big off-season event to keep the NFL at the forefront of the market, right? And they've made it this big media spectacle where it's on the NFL Network and they're televising it and they're replaying the workouts over and over. 2:00 in the morning, they're showing the wide receiver group again. The NFL has spent so much time marketing that combine. I don't know if they'd walk away from that at this point. I don't. Maybe they will. I don't know. They spent a lot of time, Chris, to build that up.
You can argue.
Event. They made it an event.
You can argue, though, it would cost them more. But you can argue that they can make just as much of an event out of these pro days.
Oh, they could. I guess they could. They could. I'm sure they could.
It would cost more. It's more places to need to be.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's something in me that just feels like it's going that direction. It's just going that direction.
And I would hate that because I used to love the combine.
I love it too. I Mark it, but Mark, you and I, you can't go by us. I mean, we if we had our way, we 24/7 be watching the combine or something like that.
So it'd be, I notoriously don't sleep much. So it's like 2:00 in the morning, East Coast time, 2:30 in the morning. And I'm texting him, hey, they're replaying the wide receiver group. Are you watching the combine? And he's texting me back. What? It's 3:00 in the morning. What's wrong with you?
Right.
My time, it's 3:00 in the morning.
But here's the thing. It's 1:00 my time.
Yeah.
What the hell am I doing? What the hell am I doing up? And we have to get the break. But Mark, the other night, I Saturday when the first game as a head coach, and I was up till like 5:00 in the morning. Just I'm watching the game film. I'm breaking it down. I'm making So when we come back, we're going to get to what everybody's interested in. We talked about free agency. That's the boring part. Talking about who's left, what other teams have done. Now we're going to get to our team. Okay. Now we're going to get to our team. And I'm wearing red today because I'm seeing red on some certain things that we need to talk about.
Okay.
We're going to get to that and more on the other side. More Corso and Catone after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. And Mark, here we are. We're a week old now in free agency. Let's just recap. Let's get everybody up to speed and up to date as to what New England has done here. Okay. So the new arrivals in free agency. You're talking about McMillan, the linebacker. Okay, hard hitting. Mark, they compare.
He can play some special teams.
They compare.
Yeah, please don't mention the name. Don't mention it.
Eldon Roberts.
That's it. I'm done, Joe. I'm done for the night.
Okay.
Have to find Mark's replacement.
That's it. Joe, Corso and Joe. Corso and Joe. Get ready, Joe.
I just have to take out the C, put an L in there, do Corso alone.
Tune up the vocal cords, Joe. All right. So you got Adams, a defensive lineman that came in. He's a 2-gap guy. We'll see about his chances of making the roster, but that's another guy that came in. Kyle Van Noy, okay, who I think was a good signing because of he got his money over there in Miami, left for a year, realized, whatever went down there. I have no idea what was real
strange. That was real strange. I don't know what that was about, Chris.
But when you put him with Judon, I mean, I think that
I like the combination.
They've significantly upgraded their linebacking.
Last week, Chris, I had a brain freeze. I couldn't remember who Judon. They're going to use him like they used Flowers. Remember Flowers? Before
Flowers.
He became the free agent and went to Detroit. He got all that money.
That's because you and I were drooling on ourselves last week trying to figure all this stuff out. It was,
I couldn't remember. He had that big play in the Super Bowl against Atlanta. Remember he had that big sack?
He did. Yeah. It was like an accounting session we needed a special sauce podcast for last week's show and all the free agency and the numbers and the millions and all this other crap. All right. Ted Karras. And by the way, they may have the best offensive line.
Yeah.
They may have the best 6 offensive linemen in the league. Right
they probably
okay. Well, because
if they stay healthy, Chris, on the offensive line, they're going to dominate on the offensive line.
Well, you got 6 guys. Yeah, you got Brown, you got Wynn, you have Karras, you got the 2 new guys. You got
Mason, you got Andrews.
Yep, and you have Illuminar. Well, he's not. I don't think he's signed.
The kid from Michigan, the second-year guy, Elawanu.
Yeah, Awanu. I always make you say it first.
Yep.
So they have like 6 guys, and then signing Andrews again was a big deal, and that's another thing that moron over there didn't think was going to happen. We'll get to that. So there's Karras. Hunter Henry, big pickup. Okay. You got Hunter Henry that came in, the tight end. Kendrick Bourne. Okay. Bourne came in. He had a press conference today talking about, he's excited to play with.
Chris, did you hear what he said?
Yeah, he said he's excited to play with Newton.
No, but not just that. Then he throws in, they were asking him questions, and they said, well, he said, well, I heard such great things here. He said Jimmy Garoppolo loved playing here.
Right.
He throws that in.
Yeah, right? which I'm still waiting for that shoe to drop with whatever Chung had to say. I think what Chung was his retirement. Maybe that's what he said. Stay tuned to what's coming.
I think that's what he meant. Yeah,
his retirement. And by the way, good career. Patrick Chung, we wish him well. He retired this past week. Had a great career. I think he won 3 rings with us with New England.
3 rings.
So provided a lot in that safety role.
He became a leader out there.
Yeah, he really did. So we wish him well. He had a great career. Back to the other receiver was Aguilar. Good pickup by them. Judon, another guy they got. Jalen Mills. Mills was the guy today. I think it was today or yesterday where they introduced him to the media, and you know how that is. I mean, everybody's gonna talk all nice, but he had a lot of good things to say about Belichick. He said he asked Belichick if he could keep his colored hair, and Belichick said, "I don't care what you do, as long as you come prepared to work." Right.
I don't care what color your hair is.
Yeah. So he had a lot of good things to say. Picked up that defensive tackle from Miami that they traded for Gottschall. Whatever his name is. Jonnu Smith, who we talked about, the tight end.
Jonnu Smith, Chris, they were talking about him more this past couple of days, and they said, Chris, after the catch, he may be the fastest tight end in the league after the catch.
And that's it. Well, listen, Mark and I are both coughing. What is going, Joe? What are you doing?
COVID.
What are you doing over here tonight? What are you doing over here with us?
Listen,
you got something coming through the waves? You got something coming through the mics over here, or the headsets that are making us cough? And
well, let me rephrase that, Chris.
Crackers before the show.
Yeah.
Chris, what is wrong with Joe tonight?
You know, that meeting's probably going to be a lot longer tonight, I'm sure, after the
Chris,
show.
Smith is the fastest tight end after the catch in the league.
Yeah.
That's until Pitts gets drafted. Did you see what Pitts ran today for a 40 for a guy his size? It was unbelievable.
It's unreal. It's unbelievable. I mean, whoever gets that guy, and by the way, he's going to go. He's not going to go in the top 8. He'll probably
Chris,
go.
he might be top 5.
Mark, and when we talk about the draft, all these things we keep saying, this guy's going to be a top 10. That guy's going to be a top 10.
Somebody's going to fall into your lap at 15, Chris. You're going to be like, oh, my God, this guy's still on the board?
The 2 guys that I'm praying for to drop there are 2 guys. Smith, the Alabama wide receiver. And Parson, yeah. And you know what, Mark? If those 2 guys are there, I know we're going – Joe, don't keep dinging in my ear. I know we're off track.
I know
if
who's
those
taking
2 guys are there.
I know who he's taking.
He's going to take the linebacker.
He's taking, of course, he's taking the linebacker. It goes from side to he's all over the field. Of course, he's taking him.
I would take the wide out. Oh,
I would too. Oh, I would too. But he'll take pass.
Yeah. So okay.
Anyways,
and Trent Brown was the other guy they brought in. Okay.
Yep.
Returning to the team now is Andrews. Okay. I want to get to Andrews in a second. Nick Folk. And by the way, they released the 5th round draft choice. Did they release him? They released them today, which now I knew was going to drive you crazy, because with that 5th round pick, with that deep draft last year for wide receivers, they could have had a serviceable wideout in the 5th round. They won't take
Chris, it just makes his drafts look even worse.
It does. It really does.
You're taking a kicker in the 5th round, and now he lasted a year. Really?
Right. Yeah. They bolstered the defensive front again. Carl Davis, bringing him in. Dietrich Wise. I think they overpaid. I think they gave him a little too much money. Wise. I will say that. Justin Bethel.
Yeah, but the way the contract is set up, Chris, I really don't think I think they could get out of that contract, and it won't cost them much against the cap.
Yeah. Bethel.
Did you see who was in Tampa Bay today talking to Tampa Bay, Lions guy?
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Of the guys that haven't signed that are out there. But anyway, Cam Newton was the last guy. The guys that have left: Moncrief, Copeland, Izzo was it a trade? Chung retired. Bo Allen, that's the guy that you were counting on possibly.
Well, I thought he could give you something, but I guess not.
Adam Butler signed with the Dolphins. Tooney, Terrence Brooks, and Marcus Cannon. Those are the guys. And then they tendered the 2nd round. Made a 10 round center on JC.
And teams have until April 25th, Chris, to do something with him.
Right, exactly. I think he's going to remain.
I think he's going to remain a Patriot. Yeah, I do too.
And now, the other guy that I feel like is going to remain in New England is Stephon Gilmore.
Chris, I think with the way they've structured these deals, I think they may extend him a couple of years and say, hey, you want money, we'll pay you, but you're going to have to extend with us, and we'll pay you what you think we'll pay you. But it's going to have to be on a team friendly, because not team friendly, but they'll pay him. But if they're allowed to spread the money out, it's okay. I think they'd be okay with that.
It's either that, or they're going to give him another little bonus bump that they did last year, just to shut him up to play his last season.
Yep, just to shut him up and play his
something like that. I'd rather extend him a little, but I want to extend him at a better price. I don't, I've maintained all along that I don't think he had a fantastic season last year, and he's getting older, not younger.
Yeah.
And for corners who hit that 30 mark,
I was just going to say that once the corner hits that mark, Chris, right, they start to slip.
Right, exactly. So, and the free agents that are left on the board: Burkhead, Bird, Calhoun, Illuminor was the guy we were talking about earlier. Falk, Guy, Hoyer, McCourty, Jason McCourty, John Simon, James White. To me, on that list, Mark, the only guy to me that's necessary is Guy.
Yeah, and I don't even know, Chris, with the signings we've had the last week or so with defensive linemen, I don't know if it's necessary, but I think he would be a big upgrade. And so we'll see.
I think it solidifies the front.
And Chris, I think the longer he hangs out there, the better chance there is that he comes back here like on a 1 or 2 year deal, and they say, hey, come on back, right? You're not going anywhere. So, you might as well come someplace where you're familiar,
Yeah.
And so the other guy, Chris, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring back on a cheap 1 year deal, because he did show, and not that he's guaranteed a roster spot, he'll have to earn it, but he did show some signs last year, is the kid Bird.
Yeah, but Mark, I just think with the releases that are going to be coming, for wideouts, I just think you can get a guy.
No, you can.
What? Would you rather have a guy like Jeffrey or Bird?
Oh, I would take Jeffrey all day long.
And I know it's going to cost you more. I get it, but Aguilar Aguilar can stretch that field now, like he did in Oakland or Vegas or wherever he was. So I mean, I do think they got to add the receiver's not done. So Mark,
no, they have to add a receiver.
That's the next question I was going to ask you. Who would you like to see them add to this team?
Chris, I wouldn't be surprised also if Burkhead comes back. Just if he's, I mean, he's not going to be ready for the start of the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a, real team friendly deal and say, you know what, we'll start you on IR if you're ready to come back week 8. Come back, right? Just because Belichick loved them.
Yeah. So again, Mark, who do you like? Who do you think? Of all some of the guys that are out there that we just mentioned,
so
do you think would be a good fit here?
So I think a good fit here. Obviously, I think you brought up the first guy. I think it would be if you could bring back Guy, right? That would be big, right? I definitely think you need to add a receiver, Chris. And so we talked about Watkins. You liked him. I like him. We talked about Jeffrey. That the other guy is still out there that you liked, Chris.
Humphreys.
But I don't know if he fits anymore now that you brought in Bourne from San Francisco. They kind of do the same thing. I don't know. Maybe he can. I don't know.
It depends on what Edelman.
Yeah.
What you're going to get out of Edelman, because I think Edelman's done. Because
Humphreys, Chris, was hurt last year, so I don't think Humphreys is signing anywhere until just before the training camp. I think the draft will happen. Teams will see who they end up with. Releases will happen, and then you'll see Humphreys sign on to a team. But the only risk with that, Chris, is the later a receiver signs with us, the more difficult it is because they got to learn this complex offense. So if they're going to bring somebody in, I'd rather than if they're going to bring in a veteran, bring in Watkins or Jeffries now, let him get acclimated, learn the playbook and be done with it. And then you don't even got to take a wide receiver in the draft, at least early in the draft. You could take one in the middle rounds. Maybe you take a flyer on somebody.
Unless they fall. If Smith falls to you got to take him. Well, if
Smith falls or even Waddle, I'll even take the other kid from Alabama, Waddle.
You have to take him. So, yeah. Yeah, Mark, I noticed that you didn't say I know that you didn't say quarterback.
Because I'm not impressed with any of the quarterbacks that are left out there. I'll be honest with you. If one falls to you in the draft, great. You know what my prediction was last week on the show, that I said that I still think there's a chance you could end up with Watson or Wilson, but I've kind of come to the realization Wilson's going nowhere, but I still honestly think you could be the dark horse for Watson. Because I don't see Houston keeping him, Chris. I just don't.
Well, you had mentioned, and this is the thing. You had mentioned, besides those two, you had mentioned Newton versus Trubisky, who's now signed, and Mariota.
Yeah.
Okay. Who, as of the latest I've heard today, is that he's renegotiating, or he's working out a deal.
He's working out a renegotiation,
Vegas.
Chris. But
I think it's yeah.
As I read it, though, he was doing that so they could trade him. He wasn't doing it to stay there. He's doing it so it's more friendly to a team to trade for him, is what I read. Remember, we were talking earlier today, you and I, about, he wants to be a backup. No. They're doing it so they can trade him, because his contract is currently constructed, nobody will trade for him. And they feel if they reconstruct the contract and make it more friendly to the salary cap, they'll get a team to trade for him.
I'm going to say something that not many people agree with me on, and I frankly could care less, okay? The bottom line for me is, if it were, and Trubisky, I realize, is signed now. He signed to be a backup, right? In Buffalo, was it Buffalo he signed with?
Yeah.
So, what are you writing now? What are you writing over there?
I'm writing
you writing
down
love
some
letters?
notes for myself.
Are you writing love letters over there? What
Come
are you
on,
doing?
Chris, I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
So, there are people that are out there that are saying, okay, I'd rather have Trubisky, I'd rather have Mariota than Newton, right? That's the prevailing, it seems to be the prevailing thought. He threw 8 touchdowns last year. He was terrible. He looked like he was, we talked about it. He was awful. He looked like he threw his shoulder into every throw, couldn't throw down the field, couldn't throw deep. Now Joe's yelling at me because there's too much sun coming in on me now. All right. It's just like, it's a Joe, nice contrast.
Joe, he's a mess today, Joe.
Didn't I say that before the show?
It's a nice contrast. It's a nice contrast with the red shirt, don't you think? Doesn't the red shirt remind you of the old jerseys? Talking about the jersey conversation, right? The old uniforms, right? Up there. Look. So
I love it.
Anyway, here's my problem, okay, with these people is if I'm trading that guy, one guy for the other, if I'm saying, okay, I don't want Newton, I want Mariota, I want or Trubisky, guy like that. I look at these guys, and this is what I say. If you're going to give Newton some benefit of the doubt with the playbook, with the COVID, with all the things he talked about as to what were hindrances to him being successful here, okay, then if I'm looking at that saying, well, okay, now he has weapons. He didn't have weapons. He was late coming in. It's a real complex system to learn. He had COVID, and I'm not being an excuse maker here. I'm basically saying, these are not excuses. They're explanations. I mean, these are real things that happen. You can't just ignore them. That's like saying, he had 100 yards rushing, but 70 was on one play. He still had 100 yards rushing. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So if you take all those things into consideration and say, okay, well, maybe the shoulder is continuing to. My bottom line, Mark, is this. I'd rather have a guy that has the pedigree, that has been in big games, that has won in big games, that has been successful, that has been top of the league, MVP. All of these accolades that I get happened a few years back now with Newton versus a guy that Chicago threw on the scrap heap, could care less to keep. Okay. And where did he go in the draft? Trubisky. Okay. And Mariota too. Mariota went number 2. So you got guys that are now on their second team. Okay. And Mariota may be coming up on his third team. They've never won anything. Their stats suck. Okay. They've never been in big games. They've never performed well in big games. The only playoff games that the playoff game that Trubisky played in, he did nothing. Okay. I get the kicker, doink, doink and all that, but I want a guy that has done it before, that has seen it before, that is respected in the league.
So Chris,
that's what I'm looking for.
Chris,
now.
With the guys that we brought in, you think that Newton is a better option than Mariota, even though Mariota potentially could make all the throws to these new guys they brought in, where we don't know what Newton's arm is. It's still a question mark. Maybe it's better, maybe it's not. I don't know.
With the money?
You're saying you'd rather, yeah.
Yeah, well, all things.
We don't know what Mariota's money's going to look like, right?
Well, it's going to be more than.
It's going to be more than Newton. Yeah, it's going
to be more than Newton. So if you're asking me about the money, if you're saying,
I'm not saying money.
But it's a factor. You can't take it out. Mark, you take out the money.
I'm asking you about ability. I'm asking you about ability.
If you right now, as it sits right now, if you tell me that Mariota is going to make the same amount of money as Cam Newton,
yes,
I still want to see more.
Okay,
I still want to see more. I watched the guy play one game last year.
That's fair.
And he did okay. Fair. That's where he's going to make all this money, but because he played in one game, he ran around a little bit and he did okay.
That's fair.
Listen, I'll still stay with Newton. I'll stay with Newton for a couple of reasons. One, because of all the things I just mentioned, and two, he's respected in that locker room. He's respected around the league. Guys will play for him. And by the way, do we know if Mariota can come in and grasp this offense?
No, we don't.
Have we seen him be able to succeed in any offense yet?
No.
Trubisky, has he succeeded anywhere in any offense? No. So why is everybody so hell-bent on saying we'll be better off with him than him? I give me the reasons. What? Because he looks like he may have a better arm right now. He looks like he may run the ball better. I don't know. What are you basing that on?
Well, no, I think our best option, Chris, is either you trade for a guy like Watson, or maybe you move up in the draft, or a quarterback drops in your lap and you draft a guy and he's your quarterback year 2. Maybe you roll with Newton this year. I mean, I don't see Newton as a long-term 4 or 5 year guy. I just don't see that. I don't necessarily see that. I mean, I could be wrong, but obviously I've been wrong before, but you know.
And we got some people chatting in right now to get to. I don't see the name. Joe, help me out over here. I can't. Everybody
put on your glasses.
I have glasses, but it doesn't help me with all these taglines that I'm seeing. Okay, I got guys that saying, "Oh, OG, Ofer, OG." It says, "Yo, coach." I don't know who it is, but we're happy to have you in. This is Scott now. It says, Coach Chris is the best. Hey, it's maybe one of my players that are that are
It's
chatting
both
in
him
right
and
now.
His son, Coach Scott. Coach Scott and his son.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, welcome into the show, Coach Scott and son. I appreciate you guys chatting in. What are they talking about? He has the best offensive coordinator. Yeah, this is definitely this is my offensive coordinator right now, Chad. Now that I'm reading down the list, okay, with my glasses over here, Mark. This is my offensive coordinator chatting in. It's good to have you in. Hey, listen, on a side note, I'm going to give him props, okay? Because I'm the head coach of this team, but in all honesty, I mean, he I think the kids listen to him more than they listen to me, no question. But he had a great game last Saturday. Last Saturday we had our first regular season game where we won 44-0 on a mercy rule, okay? And he put up 44 points, did fantastic. Defense played well too, but so props out to Coach Scott, absolutely. So welcome into the show. Thanks for chatting in. So yeah, Mark, listen. That's my take on this whole situation. I mean, because if you're going to look at Mariota and say, okay, he's a guy, and I know we're way over, so we're going to get the break. But he's a guy that can play better. Well, if you're basing it on 2 years ago or so, well, then should you want to base Newton on 2 years ago too? I mean, I get he has the last season where he performed terribly. The point I'm making is I don't want to trade bad for bad. That's my whole point. I don't want to go bad for bad when you got some continuity in the locker room right now. We got to get the break, but when we come back, we're going to continue on with the Patriots talking about the free agency. But what we really want to talk about is what they're saying about the criticisms of Belichick, because this is what's getting Mark and I real hot under the collar, real pissed off about some of the flip-flopping and back and forth that's happening. And there's a javelina running through my yard right now. Joe, take us to break.
How do I get to the point where I understand my passion enough to communicate it outward and dial myself in so that I can craft my own sauce? But you don't have anyone that's going to give you the right advice. Now you do. We've been discussing where we live and what areas do we want to always talk about. And really, it's startup, it's finance, and drive. We are Special Sauce Podcast.
Back in with Corso and Catone. So we're talking about the Patriots. We're talking about some of the things that are happening with them. Joe's mad at me because there's too much sun on me. My offensive coordinator is chatting in, wanting to take full credit for all the good things that happen. Mark, this is a mess today. Everybody's on me, huh? You're yelling at me. Jeez. Well, okay. So here's the thing, Mark. Okay, and this is what really, really went up. Really bothers me. Let's just say that. Okay. The criticism of Belichick. Okay. Now, let me preface this by saying that there is no bigger critics of the New England Patriots than Mark and I. Okay. If you listen at all to the Pats Nation all season long, okay, and listen to the post-game show and how disgusted we were about so many issues and so many things, okay, we're not apologists for the New England Patriots. However, what I don't like, if people coming out and giving takes one day for one thing, and then just completely contradicting themselves the next day, or being hypocritical about a point or a topic, and they keep going back and forth, and all of it's criticism. There's nothing good, and most of it is based on facts, non-facts, just things that just are not accurate, no analysis, no breakdown, and it just irritates me. Okay, so, and who I'm talking about, and I really don't care at this point. This flagship station of the New England Patriots and of Boston sports, okay? That big Jim Murray over there, okay? This guy's a freaking jackass, Mark. This guy is a freaking jackass. Now, the other two guys, I'll let you comment on the other two guys. That's fine. But this guy, I don't know where he came from. I know he does the post-game show for that station, which is you know what? Bring a pillow with you, okay? Bring a pillow and have about 10 cups of coffee before you listen to that post-game show, because it's atrocious. Okay, the analysis sucks. The tempo sucks. There's no excitement at all. It's just two guys that are, I mean, God, remember the days, Mark? Remember the days of Tangway and Gresh?
Yeah.
Remember those
great
days? That was the greatest post-game show. I'm telling you, I every second of that I would want to listen to. These two guys that are doing it now are the reason why we're doing it now.
Yeah.
They're the reason, because I couldn't listen to that crap anymore. We had to do our own show. That's what I had to do in order to friggin' make valid, good football points. So, Mark, okay, I'll leave it to you. I mean, you could talk about the other two guys on the show, okay?
So the other two guys, Chris, I think are credible, right? So Felger covered the Patriots for years. He's been on NBC Sports Boston. He helped host that at one point. And I just read today, Chris, he's going back. The first week of April, he's going to be doing the NBC Sports Tonight show from like 9 to 11, I think, on Monday through Thursday.
Who is
they
this
just
again?
Signed him, Felger. So they just signed him to a deal. So he's knowledgeable. He knows football. He understands.
Yeah, I mean, he's
football.
been around. He's a fixture in
He's a fixture.
in Boston
He makes
media.
cognizant points. Yeah, he gets people riled up sometimes, but purposely, because he's got to sell his show and he's got to market himself, right? But he understands the sport, and Maz knows the sport. And Maz if you listen to his baseball show, he knows baseball, right? He understands baseball. He understands pitching. He understands the actual nuances of being successful in baseball. I give those two guys credit. They all listen. It's a talk show, right? It's a radio show. They're gonna razz the callers a little bit, and that give and take is what makes you tune in every day and listen, right? But this guy Murray, to your point, Chris, he's not just a jackass. He's an imbecile, an absolute imbecile.
Yeah, like I said,
with his creamsicle sweatshirt.
I'll give it to Tony Maz. Okay, I'll give it to Tony Maz. Not only is he a good baseball mind and has been around Boston sports for his whole life, he's a very intelligent he's a smart guy. He's just an intelligent guy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so they have my respect, and I get what they're trying to do. Like you say, Mark, they're trying to antagonize a bit to promote it to maybe a boring time of the year where it's not. There's not as much happening, although free agency, NCAA, all that's going on. But, I get it.
Yeah.
But this guy, okay, so talking about some of the things that, that you and I want to get to, okay? So this is what first of all, he says, Belichick will never spend. I don't know. He's got these sunglasses on inside with the taxi cab hat, and maybe he's got an issue. He's got to wear the sunglasses inside. So if he does, then I apologize. But he's sitting over there with his stupid creamsicle, and he's all happy. He's all happy when Brady wins and all this. And I keep saying, go down to Tampa, okay? Go work for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers flagship station. See how that goes for you for a while. See if you don't drown yourself down there in the canal, okay? But anyway. So he talks about Belichick and they'll never spend. They're going to be like this for the next however many years because they won't spend. They're never going to get guys to come here because of the way they treated Brady and what happened with Brady. They're never going to do it. They'll never get guys to come here. Any of that happen. Okay. So Mark, if that's the case, then tell me how it is that Van Noy came, Henry came, Anderson came, Bourne came, Aguilar came, Judon came, Mills came. Okay, who am I missing? Jonnu Smith came. Mark, is it me or are those guys? Were those guys some of those guys at the top of the market in free agency?
Positively.
Okay, so moron. Okay, they are going to spend money because they have to spend money. That's how teams have to do it. Okay. So now the next point, Mark, was, okay, well, Brady left and now, they have to be like all the other bad teams. They're just like every other bad team now, and they have to spend money now. I'll give you this one, Mark. They're just like every other team now. Every other bad football team, and only bad football teams have to spend money to get guys in here.
So, Chris,
go ahead.
So we talked about the nature of the league, right? The nature of the league is you pay. That's what this league has become. No one's giving you a discount anymore. And he wants to talk about since Brady left. What the heck did Tampa Bay just do? They paid. Those guys didn't go stay in Tampa Bay at reduced rates because they want to win a championship with Brady. No, they didn't. Shaq Barrett is getting paid at the top of the scale for a defensive end. David, the linebacker, is getting paid at the top of the scale for his position. Godwin is getting he's getting $18.5 million. He's getting top of the scale. They franchised him, for crying out loud. And then they just signed the other linebacker. So everybody they've signed,
how about Gronk?
They've paid Gronk $8 million for has been. He blocks, he catches. Please, it could be 10. They paid at the top of the market for every single one of those guys. So were they a bad team? No, they just won a Super Bowl. That's what you have to do in the 2021 NFL. Yeah.
And I hear the argument back. Oh, the argument back is, well, look at last year, though. The guys that contributed in the Super Bowl were the guys that Brady brought in, and they came in and reduced. Those guys that came in, the 3 guys that scored in the Super Bowl, okay, that were Brady guys that he brought in, one was retired, okay? One was out of football, and the other one was about to be.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, like Fournette, his best days are behind him.
Yeah.
So yeah, those guys may have taken a little less money to come there, but it isn't because, well, we had all these other choices. Antonio Brown had so many other choices, right, Mark, to go to? He had so many other places he could go. Gronk was a trade. He didn't have a choice.
No.
New England said, you can have him. You can have his rights. He didn't provide. What did he provide him all season? Okay, Joe gave us the numbers last week, and they weren't terrible. Okay,
they were no, they weren't terrible.
You're going to tell me?
And Antonio Brown gave them, I think, a little bit more than I thought that he gave him. He ended up catching like 40-something balls.
But the point is, they were done. They were out of football.
They were out of football.
Done.
They were
Finished.
Football.
So it's not like.
But this year they kept talking about, they're going to keep the band together. They kept the band together. They paid top value for all those guys. Right. Every one of them. They didn't get those guys on the cheap to play with Brady this year. Maybe year one, like you said, those 3 guys. Okay, fine. But this year, they paid at the top of the market for every single one of those guys, Tampa. So I don't want to hear that nonsense. Jim Murray, he's a complete fool. I want him to come on the show. I challenge him to come on this show and talk to you for 15 minutes, Chris.
Hey, you know what? And you know what? They're probably not listening to us. They're too big deal to listen to us. But bottom line, Joe, if you could trickle this back to these guys, Big Jim Murray, take your sunglasses, take your creamsicle shirt, take your number 12 hat. Come on our show on a Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, if you're still awake, okay, and you're still coherent. Come on this show, and I won't even prepare. I won't read a single note. You come on and defend yourself. Defend your takes, okay, since the end of the football season to now, to what you think of Belichick, what they've done, what they can do, and better yet, what the image is of Bill Belichick by everybody else around the league. Because according to you, people think he's a joke. People think that it was all Tom Brady and Belichick had nothing to do with it. Okay. And according to you, that he's not a guy that players even like. Yet we keep hearing guys talk stellar about Belichick. You heard Danny Amendola say a bunch of things, okay? And all of a sudden, that's the law, right? That's the law. And that's one thing I love about this guy, okay? Everything somebody says about the Patriots and Bill Belichick, and like I said, don't get me wrong, I'm not a homer. Nobody criticizes that. His drafts sucked. They sucked, period. And that's one of the reasons why they're having to spend money, because their drafts sucked, not because Brady left. It's got nothing to do with Brady leaving. It's like Brady left, and now all of a sudden they have to spend money. And we're going to give me a second to talk about that. But this guy's saying nobody likes him. Amendola, something negative was said about Belichick, and now all of a sudden, Amendola said that way it's law. Hold on. Stafford. Hang on. Stafford, okay? That statement. Stafford, through third hand, it was this guy said it to this guy who said it to them, that Stafford said, I'll go anywhere but New England. That was the quote, right? I'll go anywhere. Well, it turned out it wasn't that. It was, I want to go to a team. First it was, second was, I want to go to a place, or there's a list of teams I don't want to go to. And then it turned out I want to go to a place that is set to win, or is in that situation, or LA is the only place I want to go. So none of that was even true, but they took it for gospel. They took it for truth. Yet Tom Brady comes out and says some things about Belichick in a positive way, and he's full of it. He's full of crap. Brady's just saying that because it's the media and this and that. Danny Amendola, though, everything he's saying is accurate. He's not jaded. They took him off the scrap heap from St. Louis and brought him in. And he was done when he left New England. Done. Okay? Belichick gave that guy 4 or 5 more years than he would have ever had. Okay? But he was all pissed off. So Brady says all those nice things, And that can't be true because Brady's actions, show differently. What actions? The fact that he left or the fact that the Patriots were done? They made a mistake, but I think it was more that. So this guy, nobody wants to play for Belichick yet here they are. Okay. Here are all these guys that have come in, the Hunter Henrys, the Jonnu Smiths, the Judons, the Aguilar, all these guys that could have gone somewhere else, but they came to New England without Tom Brady. Mark, how do you explain that?
Well, Chris, because if you listen, this league, we talked about this, Chris, a few weeks ago. This league is about, you got to pay, right? It's about image. It's about product endorsements. It's this league they don't care if listen, the New York Jets are getting free agents. They're a cartoon character organization. They're a joke. The New York Jets are a joke, and they're getting guys to go there. Why? Because you have to pay. That's the nature of this league. All New England's doing is what all 30 other teams are doing. They're not doing anything different. Tampa Bay just did it. So they just want to pick on New England because it's good media, right? Oh, yeah, New England's going to do this because of this. The entire league does it. Wake up, understand the league, understand where this league is now, and maybe you could actually come up with an educated take.
Yeah, if you want to say, hey, look, the Patriots have to spend a ton of money now because they didn't get it done in the draft.
We agree with that.
And I've heard him say that too. That's fine. I get that. Okay.
I agree with that.
That's a legitimate complaint. Belichick has sucked over the last 3 or 4 drafts. Mark and I have highlighted that over and over and over and over again over at the Pats Nation every year. Don't even bring up Harry. Okay. Who, by the way, they should trade. So, but don't say that that the genius of Belichick is gone because guys won't come here anymore on prove it deals. Guys won't come on team friendly deals anymore. They won't do it because of, the Patriot mystique is gone. And so guys aren't doing that crap. Mark, let me tell you something. Okay. These prove it deals, these deals that these guys keep talking about, that guys would come in and take less money just to play with Brady. Mark, that crap hasn't had, guys will stay with New England. They'll bring guys in for a year, but guys will stay with New England just because of Brady. Mark, then how do you explain Revis, Browner? How do you explain these guys that came here for a year and then left?
Yeah, because we didn't continue because we didn't continue to pay them.
Brady was still here. And his eyes, well, that's the point. That's the point. Those guys could leave. And because Brady was here, he'd take anybody and make them better. But that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is we now need to pay people because Brady left, and saying, well, you could get crappy guys and Brady makes them better. Okay, fine. I get that part of it. Okay. But to act like Belichick is a stooge now, just because Brady isn't here, because he's paying guys, that's been the landscape of the league forever. Let me go back to 2007. And I've heard them talk about Randy Moss and say, well, Moss, Stallworth, Welker, that crew that came in, that's the last time they spent money. Mark, those guys, Stallworth was more heralded than Randy Moss was at the time. Randy Moss was playing for Oakland, and he was at the end. People thought he was
almost out of football. Yeah,
people thought he was done.
He resurrected his career here, and then we gave him money after the fact.
The bigger signing.
And Welker came here, Chris, from Miami. He was on like a real low budget deal at the time.
So the question I have is, if it was all about Tom Brady, then why didn't these guys stay? Why didn't they stay and take less money to stay? Why did Long leave? Why did LeGarrette Blount leave? Why did Revis leave? Brown? Why did these guys leave then? If it was just about
Chris,
Tom Brady
even back in the day, we let Deion Branch leave because we weren't paying him what he was looking for.
Right.
Remember?
Exactly. So again, the guys that they brought in on prove it deals were guys that were almost done. So when you talk about, Brady made a lot of guys better.
Brady did make those guys better.
He absolutely did. He absolutely did. And he's saying, well, we can't do that anymore. Nobody can do that anymore. The league is completely changed.
Chris, but and at this stage of his career, Brady can't do it anymore. That's why they're paying all these guys to stay in Tampa. Brady isn't going to take a scrap heap receiver and make him better anymore. He's not at that stage of his career anymore.
Yeah. And what's funny and what pisses me off too, and Joe, I know we're long and we're over and we're going to go long tonight. That's it. I don't care. What pisses me off, okay, also is now trying to skew the facts to to make the argument better or to make it look better. And this is how they're doing it. You got a guy that comes out today, the Mills, comes out and talks highly of Belichick. Comes out highly talking. I don't believe that. Matt said it. Nah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. He's just in the media. He's just in the press. He's just saying what he has to say. That's one. The second guy was born saying, I can't wait to play with Cam. I'm excited to play with Cam. Can't wait to do it. And Bill. Okay. Nah, they say they poo-pooed that. They're just Chris, saying that because they knew and they're here and all that.
But Chris, you know what I took more stock in? Is Bourne also mentioned the fact that now this is a guy, Chris, who didn't leave here on good terms and their relationship is kind of fractured. At least that's how it's been reported. Wes Welker works with the wide receivers in San Fran. And when Bourne said, I'm thinking I'm going to sign with New England, Welker said to him, that's a great move. That's a great place to play. Go there. Now, this is a guy who did not leave here on the best terms with Belichick, and they kind of had a falling out. And
isn't he the receivers coach there?
Yes, and he's telling Bourne, if you could, that's a great place to sign. Good luck. You'll learn a lot there.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
He told him that. Yes.
Well, I didn't hear these guys talking about that. And then
why would they bring that up? That disagrees with their narrative.
Right. And Mark, and the other thing that I heard, okay, and this was the topper today. Okay, which was Hunter Henry. So they played the soundbite. I heard the soundbite today of Hunter Henry being introduced to the media, and they asked him about playing with Cam Newton, and his response was like this: "Yeah, I'm excited. We're playing just monotone. That's it." They took that. Now the statements that were all good about playing with Cam Newton and about Belichick. They poo-pooed those. They said, nah, that's just a media thing. That doesn't really mean anything. Okay. They listened to the Hunter Henry soundbite, and this was the reaction to that. You can read all in between that. You can read in between those lines. Look at his level of enthusiasm or lack of enthusiasm. He clearly doesn't want to play with Cam Newton. There must be another move that they told him about of another quarterback that's going to be coming in. Like Belichick would ever share that with anybody before it's happening. But there must be some other quarterback move that's going to be made Chris, that he knows about, and he's just answering.
No way. Henry Chris is a guy, though, Chris, that could have gotten money somewhere else. Obviously, he was at the top of the class. So he probably would have got just as much money, maybe not as much, maybe a little less, but he would have gotten just as much money anywhere because he's at the top of the class. And we had already signed a tight end on top of it before him, and he still came here.
Right. Come on. So the argument of you can read between that. They must have told him something else. Are you seriously telling me? Are you really fishing that hard to down Brady and to down Belichick and Cam Newton? Are you really want to down the flagship station? Mark wants to down that organization and speculate so badly. Okay, when the people that are saying the words that they want to be there and they like it. They're reading into that in such a degree. They're taking so many leaps on that it's friggin' absurd to me. The question I want to ask them is, have you ever met Hunter Henry? Have you ever talked to Hunter Henry? Have you ever, I'll challenge these guys to ask them, have you ever even heard Hunter Henry in a press conference before today?
No, of course they haven't.
No.
Absolutely
so they don't
not.
know his temperament. They don't know his personality. They don't know if he's just a dry guy. That if he's just a dry guy, then that's how he talks. They have no clue. Yet they want to read all these things. And I get it. It's to promote the show. But they want to read all these things into that statement because it was too dry. So now he must have known something else that's going on.
They want to promote the show, Chris, but they sound like idiots. I mean,
they do. They sound like morons, and that's my point. It gets to a certain
point where, you want to promote your show, but then there's a fine line between promoting your show and sounding like a bunch of idiots. And when they make takes like that, they sound like complete idiots. Why would anybody tune in to listen to them? They don't even know what they're talking about.
And you say, I heard that fool Murray say, yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I was playing with Justin Herbert. Yeah. Now you're asking me about Cam Newton. Oh, sure. I want to play with Newton. Oh my God. Does this moron, did we trade for, did I miss something, Mark? like you just said, did we trade for Hunter? Even you got people coming in over there that want to chime in on this too.
I don't know what that was.
Did you just correct me if I'm wrong? Did they trade for Hunter Henry?
No.
He chose that, right?
Yes.
Just like you said, after they already signed Smith, the other tight end.
Yes.
He chose there. So he chose not to go back to. And so what? Well, you're saying that Belichick went and made a good enough pitch to him and sold him on a bill of goods. Well, then if he did that, then he's still a genius then, isn't he? He's still working at the top of his game then if he was able to sell Hunter Henry on Cam Newton and a bill of goods to come into New England. Either way, Murray, you're wrong and you're a moron and you sound like a moron. And the only reason why I'm listening to it is so that I could come on my show and let everybody know what kind of fool you are. So again, like Mark said, come on, talk to us, bring it all over here. Let me know. And by the way, the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get to our final break. This whole idea, they can't get guys to take team-friendly deals anymore, right? They can't get guys to take team-friendly deals anymore. Can't do it. Can't do it, right, Mark? That's what they said, right?
That's what they said.
Not going to do it anymore. No, Brady can't do it, right? Today, I hear them talking about the Andrews deal, okay?
That's the ultimate team-friendly deal.
It is. But you know what, Mark? The rhetoric wasn't, hey, the Patriots still have it. They still got it in them. They could still get it done with their own guys. No. It wasn't that. You know what it was? It was shame on the Patriots for doing that. Shame on the Patriots for doing that to David Andrews because he had an issue that was beyond football injury. You know, he had the problem. So shame on them. This is a guy that deserves the money.
What does that have to do with the contract he signed?
This is a guy that deserves more money. This is a guy that deserves a payday. And New England is shortchanging this guy. Hey, guys, which way do you want it? Which way do you want it? You want to give them you want them to sign guys on team-friendly deals and give them props for it? Or do you want them to just pay everybody? Or do you want it where they're just a bad football team that has to pay everybody? Yet they signed 2 or 3 guys to team-friendly deals. Mark, I can't even follow the landscape of this idiocy that I'm hearing. Okay? That's why we are the real deal New England Field, because you're going to get it all laid out for you perfectly every single time. Not perfectly, but you're going to get it laid out and real. It's going to be real. These fools are just trying to get you to call the show. That's all they're doing. Call the show. Let me be an antagonist. Murray, you're a moron. Come on this show. Talk to us. I'll throw all the notes out. Come on. You and me, bring it on the show. Let's go through it. Joe, get him on the show because I want that debate. I want Murray. That's it. Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight. Lost your mind.
And tell him to wear that friggin' creamsicle ugly ass shirt he wears with that stupid number 12 hat. That's all I have to say. Mark, we didn't get the NCAA. I know that you wanted to talk about that. Right. But the only thing I wanted
to know is my team. Illinois is out.
How's Illinois? That's all I wanted to ask you. How did Illinois do?
They're out.
Where's Gonzaga at right now?
They're in.
That's still in it. Still in it. Here we go. Listen, when we come back, we're going to have our closing remarks. We went long tonight, but I felt it needed to be said and all of this stuff. So we'll come back with our closing thoughts, preview the next show, Corso and Catone after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with Corso and Catone. Mark, I'm seriously, I think I lost my mind in that last segment. I seriously think I lost my mind talking about Big Jim Dummy, you know, and that's how we're going to talk about him from now on. Big Jim Dummy, Big Jim Dummy. So, Mark, listen, final thoughts on today.
Well, certainly you said it's a dead time. It was an exciting show. I'll tell you that. It wasn't dead. Well, my final thing is this, Chris. I'm really interested to see the NBA trade deadline is Thursday, so I'm interested to see, what just happens and do the Celtics actually make a move? Because my take is, listen, they're a 500 team. Unless something drastically changes, they're going to probably sit in the 7th or 8th spot for the rest of the season, sneak into the playoffs, and I don't expect them to do much. But I am very interested to see if something does happen before Thursday or on Thursday.
Yeah, Mark, I have one final thought only as to this show. Okay. The flagship station is dead. Okay. They're morons and they need to go away now. That's it. The other two guys, fine. They're fixtures in
the flagship station is okay. It's one character.
You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
I'm
talking about the guys. I'm not talking about the station itself. I'm talking about
that one guy.
The two vets, they get all my respect. Give them props. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to drum it up. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is, but I can't wait to debate him. I want him so badly, But listen, you tune into Pat's Nation come this fall, and you listen to the real post-game show, because that's the thing. That's where you're going to get all your information. I don't even think they have an idea about an X and what an X and an O is, Mark, in the game of football.
No, they don't.
That's my take. Got a little hot today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Tune in next week. I'm going to be back talking about, more Celtics, probably, hopefully not more mediocrity. We'll see what they do in the draft. Like Mark said, talk about the Bruins as well. Baseball starting up, so we want to get into that. It's going to be starting soon. Want to talk about the Yankees, talk about the Red Sox and some of the things they're doing. Mark wants to preview those teams and what those lineups may or may not look like. March Madness will keep going. Mark's bracket is completely busted at this point. Mine's still going. So we'll talk more about, some about the NCAA tournament. Tune in at 8 p.m. now, 8 p.m. Eastern time with the daylight savings, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 o'clock Pacific time to Corso Catone. Joe will have us up on YouTube all this week. You can listen to the show again, subscribe, hit that thumbs up. We could always like your support. We appreciate everybody that chatted in tonight and let us know their thoughts. So that's it, Mark. For Mark Catone and Joe Guarnieri, I'm Chris Corso. So long, everyone.